Hello, I'm Nikki Starr, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a speed build. Was I expecting that the first video back on my channel in the new year of 2023 would be a speed build? No. Did I expect that it would be a speed build that would become multiple speed builds in a little series because otherwise it was going to be way too long? Also no. But that is where we are. So the only inspiration that I had for this particular build was the idea of having a block of flats around a kind of private car parky area in the middle. They're not uncommon around my area to have kind of the resident parking be kind of in the middle space. And for some reason I just wanted to build a load of flats, but I realised quite quickly that it was too much to do in one video. So you're going to get a few videos off of this. So if you don't like this, I do apologise. But I am going to try and go for slightly different vibes for each of the apartments. I'm thinking because this one had kind of the exterior and I've done one apartment, that the next few might have maybe the next two. And then the third one might finish off the last one and maybe try and do some outside landscaping-y kind of things. But we shall see. I did expect to be starting a Let's Play for the first video of the year, but I very much underestimated the rest of my life, which is not uncommon for me. So you will see that when I get round to it. But I am going to try and start like a well-known Let's Play challenge, which I have never done before. So hopefully we'll have that, and we'll have the Greek mythology kind of build challenges, and then still giving you guys some speed builds in the middle, mostly because they're actually what I kind of started with. They're what I do enjoy all of the videos, but they're quite easy for me to produce. So on the weeks where I underestimate my life or overestimate how much time and or energy I actually have, they are quite good ones for me, because I can hopefully get ahead of myself a little bit this year. I say that's the plan, but that was the plan originally. So in terms of this build, we've got 4 apartments, as I've said. I've just put in a basic staircase, which I might change out for different ones, just to kind of indicate for myself what I'm aiming for. I am looking to try and get close to kind of mirroring each other, but maybe some of them are a bit more open plan than others. Maybe some have had walls knocked down or built in or added to it. So I'm not going to be too harsh with it. I am tempted, and do let me know if anyone is very much against this idea. I am tempted to make one of them a little bit more derelict, or like it hasn't been lived in for a little while, and needs a bit of TLC, which I think would be quite fun. But I also do know that in The Sims, these particular apartments would be absolute hell to play in, particularly if you had as many families as you'd be expecting to have. So we've gone with my standard, and the first lot of houses, or the first apartment I should say, because it's apartments, Nikki, is dark vibes. We're going dark vibes. If you've been on this channel for any length of time, this will not surprise you in the slightest. But I've got this in my head that it's a house that's lived in by one Sim in particular, with some kind of additions of maybe a partner who lives here or like stays over quite regularly, but isn't necessarily kind of the full person. Not the full person, that's not what I meant, as in doesn't live here like full time. That was the word. So upstairs there's a study, but it only works for one, and then like a double bedroom, but it does have like 2 genders worth of clothing hanging on the wall. So I don't know which way I'm doing it. I'm just kind of playing around with the dark vibes again. So the kitchen, going for this kind of U-shaped. I've faffed around with this a lot more than I remembered doing, trying to work out end pieces. Does it bother anyone else when end pieces on the kitchen counters have this like really nice design, but then like the counters, or the cabinets at the top don't have anything similar? Like it just overhangs and it feels like it should match or be somewhat symmetrical. Though that might just be me, who knows. I have bought the clutter kit quite recently, so you will see me occasionally filtering out just for that, and I think right at the end we kind of yeah, so I like to add the clutter right at the end so I could kind of get an idea of what the new pack has. I did use a surprising amount of paranormal stuff. A couple of videos ago, I can't remember what it was, but I rediscovered my love for just how much the patterns and that kind of stuff just really speak to me. Like that sofa I would have in my house in a heartbeat. I don't know why. It just speaks to my soul. We also put in more plants in here. I don't know if anyone has watched any of my very, very old builds, but I kind of occasionally would just throw a plant in a corner for the end. I'm kind of deliberately adding them in a bit more. I don't know if I'm getting just grown up or old, I don't know. I've never really considered plants as like a thing you have in your house, and now I have a couple in my house and I'm like, you know what, they're nice, we're going to put more everywhere. But we're just going for like a nice dining set. I know I've said about the idea of there's being like one person, two potentially living here, but I like the idea of the 6-sided table with those chairs. I just love those chairs, I do. And then we spent ages apparently faffing for some kind of wall art. And I can't remember what we do. Oh no, I do. It's the wine. We go for the wine glass, which I usually only put in like restaurants, and occasionally I think, oh, not sure about it. But then for some reason it just felt right here. I can't tell you why. Usually, and I mean this in the nicest way to that particular picture, it can be a bit tacky, but it seems to match the vibes. So we do start putting down a little desk area down here, but we move it upstairs when I realise that I've given 2 rooms and I don't want like a spare room. And I don't want a kid's room, so I kind of go for a study upstairs instead. And you will see I've also, because it was the sale over Christmas, I did also get the Strangerville pack, so occasionally you're seeing other things going new on my screen when we're looking at the items. So upstairs we've got the kind of bathroom area, and then like I said, that little extra room. The problem is that I've made these quite thin in the front. I think maybe the back ones are going to benefit just a little bit more from this, but that bedroom's quite thin, which I think would work perfectly as like a nursery. So if I was going to redo it, or maybe in the next house, I might consider having like a smaller kids room or like a really small nursery. I don't think I've done a nursery in a flat or a house in a build for a very, very long time. I tend now to default to kind of teenage kid rooms. And not so much like toddlers or like babies. So we'll see what comes of that. Yeah, so we're just fleshing this out, going again, dark aesthetic everywhere. And again, do I continue faffing in here? Yes, I do. Really tried to get this shelving to fit in alongside that, and I don't know why I thought it would, because like, look at that space. Look at it. That's not usable, Nikki. It's like, oh, if I get rid of the aesthetically pleasing end piece, no, we're moving on. Quick little bath rug. I think it's probably the most attention I've put on a bathroom for a while as well, because they can be quite boring, if I'm honest with you. Got the study now we're building in, so I've taken the stuff from downstairs. I've kept the brick wall, which I quite like. To me, there's something about having like a dark room with kind of a centerpiece of some kind. If you've seen any of the videos with my face cam, you'll know that I've got a very white room at the moment for my study, because we moved into a house that wasn't entirely new build when we got it, but it is a few years old, and it's been very much going with the neutral palettes. Got a lot of grey, but then most of the walls were all white and things. And I'm trying to talk myself out of painting the whole room black, including the ceiling, which I think would just be aesthetically beautiful. But the practicalities of spending most of my days in a jet black room might get to me at some point. We're going to have to see. The thing my partner keeps saying, which is lovely, is that, you know, we can just paint over it if it's rubbish. Yes, it would take a few more coats than, you know, a light grey, but considering the other palette choices I'm considering are forms of grey, it's not going to be much different. So if you do stick around, you may see massively black background at some point, hopefully, in the new year, some point during 2023. I am somewhat inspired by that wallpaper in the study, to have like something, or in the hallway, that triangular one. So we're going to do a bedroom. We've got this little extra spot here, which I was thinking maybe an ensuite, but then I like the positioning of that window. And it gives a lot of light into that kind of section of the room, and I don't want to close it off. So we're going to go kind of walk-in closet-esque. I know it's kind of open, but we spend forever trying to find the Dream Home Decorator boxes that you can hang stuff from. And then I think I spend a while faffing with this camera because it kept throwing me downstairs, trying to light up, and I've not given myself enough space, and it doesn't work on the corners, and there's no corner bits to this. So I don't know why I was doing that. And then, like I said, we're adding in kind of different kinds of clothes. I probably shouldn't say gendered because clothing art isn't gendered as a concept, but a couple of different sort of versions of clothing. That rug disappears later. I like watching these back when I'm doing the voiceover, because when I'm editing I'm kind of just like, am I looking for a mistake to cut out? But then now I'm like, oh yeah, that rug doesn't stick around very long. It's quite nice. I'm going to put one in here, and that's going to be the main rug of the room. But I quite like having that kind of nook, little kind of TV area. Awesome. So I think we're getting to the last little bits and pieces. I think we do some art here, and I think we go through and add a bunch of clutter, which is quite possibly my favourite part of this now. Now that we have an actual clutter that we can use. Oh, and plants. Don't forget the plants. So in terms of voiceover, I'm going to leave you here for the last little bits. There won't be a video tour because we'll be doing a bit more of that when we go through the other flats. It felt a bit weird to do it with a load of empty flats around. But I will leave you here. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Nikki Starr, and I will see you in the next one.